Demolition crews completed what a mysterious explosion started at this San Francisco home tonight at 10. Do investigators now know what sparked this weekend's blast? We'll tell you what we found out. The state of California wages a high-stakes battle over Indian gaming casinos. That story tonight at 10. Plus, you may be surprised by the latest takers at the cosmetic counter. A segment 2 report on male makeovers. Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond in the KTVU newsroom. The first deaths have been reported from Hurricane Mitch. We'll have more on where the monstrous storm is heading tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
A mystery ooze is bubbling up from the streets in one East Bay town. Tonight on the 10 o'clock news, we will take a look at what the gooey mixture might be. After a 3-day losing streak, the Dow ends the week with a gain. But is this a turnaround? The story tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
Does Jane Harmon have a secret strategy that could help her pull ahead in the race for governor? Tonight at 10, political editor Randy Shandobil has an inside look. Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond in the KTVU newsroom. The police sweep through a San Francisco housing project in search of drug dealers produced an angry reaction among some residents. A live report tonight on the 10 o'clock news. Bill Jones. Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond with a special KTVU election night update. In Washington tonight, both Republicans and Democrats are keeping a close eye on returns. So far, Democrats are doing better than expected in the Senate, winning several hotly contested seats. In the House, they have surpassed expectations, picking up 4 seats, but the projections are they will not gain enough seats to win control. Join us throughout the night and at 10 for extended election coverage.
You may be in for a different kind of sticker shock if you're in the market for a new car. Consumer editor Tom Vacar shows you where the deals are tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
Have you?
Coming up tonight on the 10 o'clock news, President Clinton announces his plans for the future, while back on Capitol Hill, the countdown for an official impeachment inquiry begins. Also tonight, hundreds of thousands of people in Florida are on the move tonight as the deadly path of Hurricane George heads straight for the Keys. We'll have a live report. And a KTVU veteran monkeys around at the zoo on the eve of his retirement.
Next. People are talking about the original 10 o'clock news on Fox 2. Readers of the San Francisco Chronicle have voted it the best local newscast and named KTVU's Dennis Richmond as best TV anchor. Join Dennis Richmond and Leslie Griffith weeknights on the original 10 o'clock news. The Bay Area is watching.
Yeah, the
times.
Is there
The San Francisco Giants head for the Rockies with renewed playoff hopes. What are their chances? The story at 10.
Face style.
Good evening, I'm Leslie Griffith in the KTVU newsroom. The money from parking tickets is supposed to go into city coffers, right? Not in this East Bay city. Tonight on the 10 o'clock news, find out who's really getting the cash from your citations. San Francisco is cracking down on tattoo parlors and body piercing businesses. Tonight at 10 o'clock, Health and Science editor John Fowler explains how the new rules will affect people on both ends of the needle. Business people are jubilant as San Francisco earns first place in a national survey. Tonight on the 10 o'clock news, a look at who and why some say the city by the bay is tops.
Ally McBeal will return in a day.
Supporters of the Oakland Cannabis Club rally as they await a decision on the club's future. Tonight, that decision is in. The story at 10.
Good evening, I'm Leslie. Leslie Griffith in the KTVU newsroom. It survived the big one in 1906 and the Loma Prieta quake. But what happened today was too much for an East Bay landmark. The story at 10.
Arguably.
Coming up next on the 10 o'clock news, a federal appeals court says no, sealing the fate of California's largest remaining cannabis club.
The National Magazine rates San Francisco #1, but city officials say more needs to be done.
Don't you hate these people that talk to you?
A stroke of a pen brings new hope that decades of bloodshed will end in the Middle East. At 10, we'll go live to Washington, D.C., and Faith Fancher talks with the experts about what the agreement really means for peace.
George Moscone, Harvey Milk, murdered by a supervisor with a gun and a grudge.
The assassination shaped political careers, sparked the gay rights movement, even established the so-called Twinkie defense. KTVU News looks back at the City Hall murders 20 years later.
Days of Rage, tonight on the original 10 o'clock news.
The U.S. dispatches 24 of these helicopters and 2,000 troops to beef up NATO and try to end the suffering. Complete coverage of the crisis in Kosovo tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
Who is this man police say slashed the throats of homeless people in San Francisco? KTVU's Rita Williams has the disturbing story tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
See how a new airliner could soon take you to the edge of space. John Fowler reports, soaring to new heights, tonight on the original 10 o'clock news.
Friends of a missing East Bay woman gather tonight to mourn after learning that police found Regina Loving's body in the basement of her own home. The story tonight at 10. Joined by their grief and united in their struggle, the Bay Area remembers those who died from AIDS. Commemorating World AIDS Day tonight at 10.
If you're like most parents, you don't think twice about what your child wears to sleep, but maybe you should. Once outlawed, flammable sleepwear is back, and kids could get burned.
It just hurted so bad.
An important warning every parent must hear. Wear at your own risk. Tonight on the original 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond in the KTVU newsroom. An intense search is underway for this East Bay teenager who disappeared Friday night. We'll have the latest on the efforts to find her tonight at 10.
KTVU's Bob McKenzie travels to Guyana to remember the Jim Jones tragedy. Return to Jonestown tonight on the original 10 o'clock news.
The pain is still there.
This man lost his entire family in Jonestown. Now first-hand accounts from survivors. Return to Jonestown continues tonight at 10.
One of the nation's largest private parcel services is facing the threat of a strike. Tonight at 10, business editor Brian Banmiller reports on what it means to consumers, companies, and Christmas.
Good evening, I'm Leslie Griffith in the KTVU newsroom. Days passed, but there is no end in sight. Tonight at 10, KTVU's Lloyd LaCuesta has an update on efforts to rebuild in Honduras.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond in the KTVU newsroom. Families and survivors of the Jonestown massacre mark a grim anniversary 20 years later. Could it happen again? The story at 10.
Laura wanted.
Good evening, I'm Leslie Griffith in the KTVU newsroom. A massive fire burns overnight on a historic Southern California wharf. A look at the damage tonight on the 10 o'clock news. San Francisco police report a break in the case of this missing San Francisco woman. We'll have late details coming up tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond in the KTVU newsroom. A day after independent prosecutor Kenneth Starr.
A special election next week in the East Bay is expected to cost taxpayers nearly $1 million. So why are so few people expected to come out to vote? The story at 10.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond in the KTVU newsroom. A makeshift memorial where a gunman shot and killed an Oakland police officer is a vivid reminder of the dangers officers face. Tonight at 10, one officer talks about how hard it is to go back onto the streets.
An East Bay teenager appears in court to answer charges he gunned down an Oakland police officer. The story tonight on the 10 o'clock news. Think it's impossible to find affordable housing in the Bay Area? A look at the housing crisis tonight at 10.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond in the KTVU newsroom. The death toll continues to climb, now past the 100 mark in Colombia after a massive earthquake. The latest on rescue and recovery efforts tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
Last night, the crime.
It was a horrifying experience.
Now, KTVU's Tweebu steps inside a state prison to show you what's being done to stop violence against inmates.
That is zero tolerance.
Women behind bars, tonight on the original 10 o'clock news. Clothes don't fit.
Clothes never fit anybody.
Can't find the right size pants most of the time.
Imagine getting a perfect fit without searching the racks.
I would love that.
This scanner could be the answer.
Perfect idea.
KTVU's John Fowler shows you why shopping may never be the same. Fit for the future. Next on the original 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Richmond in the KTVU newsroom. A 5-alarm fire in the South Bay burns dangerously close to homes. A story tonight on the 10 o'clock news.
The fight to save KPFA is not over yet. Find out why tonight at 10.
The Coast Guard has in fact reported that they have recovered some bodies.
The search is on for survivors following a plane crash off Nantucket where more than 200 people are feared dead. The latest at 10.
I'm John Fowler, and these are Africanized honeybees. We'll show you why they've earned the nickname killer bees.
Tonight at 10.
Has Congress come up with a way to keep Elian Gonzalez in the United States? The story on the 10 o'clock news.